All right, let's talk about it. I think this is a pretty important one, fellas. And we're going to include psychological demographics, um, mindsets, and just the overall perception, right? And I want to start with one. I want to mention this about dating sites and how it has become a playground for controlling, emotionally fragmented, narcissistic women. Okay. And why certain locations tend to draw these same types of women to them as well. So let's get into that. Let's talk about that. First of all, online dating. I know that some of you may still frequent online dating platforms, but for a healthy man that has, you're in a healthy mental space and you have things going for you, but you're figuring, hey, why not just check it out, try it out, see what's good. There may be some success stories. I'm not gonna, you know, take away from that, but I'm the type of man I play off of percentages, right? If you tell me the majority of people that go and play at this casino, 75% of the time they're hitting the jackpot versus this casino, 40%. And these are actual statistical data, right? Or just based on a consistent pattern uh, of observation of winning, right? There's some consistency there. I'm going to play where the odds are better. Okay. So, what I'm saying with this today, most women that you will try to pick up online, if they're attractive, if they're a six and a half or better on a dating site, run. It's trouble. These are women that aren't looking for relationships. They're not looking to date and build and establish something. These are women that are basically these are women that are looking for leverage and control over emotionally insecure men, broken men, lonely men, frustrated men who have been tired of striking out, or shy men, men that don't get out a lot, right? These type of women, if they're attractive on there, and especially if they're in major cities where there's a plethora of attractive women, okay? These type of women get on there because they don't want to, they hate competition. And I'm going to break down the reason why they hate competition amongst other women in cities like Atlanta, Miami, um, North Carolina, Houston, Dallas, you know, the major cities where there's a lot of competition. Okay. If you find an attractive woman on these dating sites, 9 out of 10 times, she's in a predatory mindset. She is not dating or trying to look for a genuine connection. She's looking for someone who she can control flat out. She's not looking for to build anything. She's looking for men that fit her profile. They attractive women on dating sites are profiling for males that are, like I mentioned, insecure, uh, quiet, live a sedentary lifestyle. And so these women give the image that they want something better, but really they're predators. They're preying on men that otherwise, if you were to be out publicly and you were pulling women in public and you came across her, you wouldn't want her. I'm gonna tell you why. Because those women that are attractive on there are manipulative, controlling. Uh, they're they're you know, devious, deceptive, right? And you'll take it as, and you listen to their story, they're tired of going out. They don't really go clubbing. Their homebody is a one that you hear a lot. I'm a homebody. I don't like being out there like that. And for a lot of guys, that brings a sense of false sense of security, at least that, oh, at least she's not running the streets. A lot of women that run the streets, a lot of guys don't want to be around. They tend to think that's a bad thing. But we have to look at the psychology of this. And again, we know not all, but I'm going to give you a high statistic and say 90% of the women that are on social media for dating and they're attractive or they're not there to date. They're there to find a weakness in the right man that they can control, manipulate, and have their way with. And they won't come off like that. But think about it. A woman that is attractive, still in her prime, still has a lot of high sexual market value. Let's say 25, we'll go up to like 30, 33, right? Still looks attractive, nice body, everything. Why would she be on there in a market where she's going to be sought after every day, right? And it doesn't matter where it's at. Well, from a strategical standpoint, she gets to control more of what she wants and what she goes after online. There's going to be more men reaching out to her so she can screen and profile and say, okay, I like this one. And I like how, you're going to basically interview, give a lot of information off. She's going to go looking into it. She's going to be seeking, trying to find those weaknesses, right? She knows her beauty and her attraction is going to keep you occupied and looking to connect with her more. She runs all the little psychological tests that are very subtle, testing your suitability, how much you want her, how much you're willing to bend and fold for her. Because voila, you found this 8. You found a solid 8 on a social media dating site. Why nobody in public? Why hasn't she been picked up in a market that she should have already and should be getting men left and right? And the reason is because that market, when she's dealing with healthier men that have more confidence and more bravado and about themselves, they spot that shit in them quickly. They spot something's off with this chick because she does not move like an 8 who is healthy, right? That is not on those social media sites, but out in the world, out on the market, right? The healthy, attractive woman doesn't need social media. They don't need to be on a dating site, especially. Now, social media, let me retract that. They can be on social media. They can have different things they're doing, right? They can use it for business or marketing, but specifically dating sites. Those healthy, attractive 8s and 9s and all of that, they don't need to be on there. They get enough. And not to say that they are even 100% safe, but we're going from a spectrum. The worst of the two is going to be the ones that's attractive, but exclusively plays the field of dating sites. She's predatorial. She's exclusively looking to exploit, manipulate, and control whatever man that she comes across. And that's the framework of this. So when you go on there, you have to expect these things. That you meet an attractive woman on there, she's going to be toxic. She's not going to be a good pick at all in any way. She's going to have a lot of issues. That's why she's on there, because her personality, her character is flawed, right? It is undesirable to healthy men in the real world out in the field. Healthy men see it, they don't want to deal with that. It's too many other fish in the sea to deal with an emotionally manipulative, controlling, fragmented woman. You're going to pick that up immediately if you're used to dealing with women in public that are used to getting attention from men, and they're in a more healthier space. Night and day, night and day. These type of women usually end up moving to cities where their narcissistic behavior gives them leverage. And these are some of the cities, I'm gonna just name a few, that you will find the narcissistic, controlling, um, manipulative types in higher concentrations. And they end up going there because it fits for them. Because these type of cities usually have a lot of emotionally fragmented and broken men as well. That desire peace, but ultimately ends up feeling alone still, because there's the pickings there. They're dealing with women that emasculate men heavily in these type of areas, and that's Austin, Portland, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Seattle, Denver, um, just to name a few, Sacramento. Uh, these places are, you know, set breathing grounds for the more extreme type of narcissistic woman. There's no competition really for a woman that goes to these places and she's highly attractive or she's over a six. There's no competition for them. They get to dictate all types of rules and how things are going to go, and will have a consistent plethora of guys, whether they're on social media, on dating apps or not. They're going to have the leverage. Now, if they're in a place like Houston, Atlanta, it's beautiful women all over the place. There's too much competition to really be able to successfully and strategically implement the BS and the control tactics that they try to use to control the man and lure him in to submit to them. Because shit, in those areas, she starts running this bullshit. The guy's like, shit, I just met a hottie at the gas station the other day. And the mentality is, I'm not gonna put up with that. Fuck no. Gone. They don't have as much leverage using these narcissistic manipulative tactics in these areas. But they go to cities like Denver, Austin, Portland, where there's a high concentration of the feminist mindset to begin with. A lot of men naturally adopt and accept the emasculation, and their role is being subservient to women in those areas because they don't have a lot of attractive women running around that you can just run into on a daily basis. So when they do find something that's a six that cleans up well, they're going bonkers over her. And once she experienced that type of responsiveness, boom, she's out to those type of cities. And it's a continuum of women that have that same mindset where they were losing in other cities where it was just too much competition to really implement that amount of control. So a lot of times when you see those type of women that are narcissistic in that way in cities like Atlanta and stuff like that, they don't really go out a lot. They're home. They claim to be homebodies. They claim to not want to be around the drama and all of this. It sounds good on the outside, but what it really entails is the fact that it's too much competition, and it hurts their ego, and it triggers their everything that brings out their insufficient their inadequacies, right, about themselves, being insufficient about a lot of things. It triggers them every time they get around those environments. So what they do is they avoid it. They stay in. They stay out the way, or they move to cities like a Portland, a Seattle, a Minneapolis, where they have more leverage to play in those areas with, right? And this is what a lot of guys run into. So this is why, if you're a single guy, if you're looking to have a better pick, think of it from the psychological standpoint. Cities, like, they may be cool, laid back, quiet. You may want to have a more sedentary life, but you're gonna run into some of the most fucked up women in those type of cities that I had named where they run to. All right. You're gonna run into the more uh masculine type, extreme feminist liberal type of woman in those type of cities. You're gonna run into more of the narcissistic type of women as well in those type of cities. But more importantly, regardless where they are, you will more than likely encounter one on dating apps. Put it to the test, fellas. Think on it. You're gonna run into them type on dating apps. They frequent it. They frequent it. Anyway, drop your likes, thoughts, comments. Let me know.